Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Once again, I am KageKaze, and we are looking at the first, so far the only, and current closed beta for Hawken. They decided to lift up the NDA for this closed beta event, so not everyone's able to get in right now. However, it's looking like you might have a really good chance, so I would advise that while you're watching this, if you're interested in Hawken at all, sign up at their website at playhawken.com. Now, Hawken is a first-person shooter mech game. It's being developed by Adhesive Games and published by Meteor Entertainment. And it's being built on the Unreal 3 engine. And they're doing a lot of fantastic work with this title. It is going to be very different from MechWarrior Online. So you're going to have a couple different mech games to choose from based on what kind of playstyle you prefer. So what I'm going to do is take a look at the beta, what features we have, what we don't, and some things that we can only guess that might be in the future. This is the main splash screen you'll see when you log in for the first time. You've got your report bug here system for the beta. Possibly might carry in. All it really does right now is open the forums. But next to that we have the booster packs. Now Hawken is a free-to-play game, which means you don't have to pay anything to get the game. And you don't have to pay anything to keep playing. It doesn't have a subscription fee, but you might pay for cosmetic changes or weapons, things of that nature, and we'll be going over that as we come along here. These two buttons right here are the booster packs. One for Hawken Points, which is this game's currency. You earn Hawken Points in-game as you play. So it's kind of like the C-bills of MechWarrior, if you will. Next to that is, of course, the XP booster. Both of these are a double system. You basically get these, you get twice as many points of either one as you go. They can only be purchased, of course, by the real-world currency system, which is Meteor Points. Let me go to that in just one moment here, because we'll be seeing a bit more of that as we go along here. There's an icon here which appears to be for rank. As of right now, there is no personalized rank system. Everything is based only on your mech. So next to that is, of course, my pilot name, and on my left is my Hawken Points, on my right is my Meteor Points. So again, Hawken Points, what we're looking at here is the in-game currency, and the Meteor Points, and you think about it, this is Meteor Entertainment that's publishing it. Meteor Points is the real-world currency that you'll be purchasing to buy things in the game. So you'll go out to their website, you'll spend real cash, you'll get these Meteor Points. Everything you can buy will be purchasable by either Hawken Points or Meteor Points, with a few exceptions. Some things will only be Meteor, and you'll see that as we go again. First, of course, is the booster packs. You can only buy those with Meteor Points. As of right now, there is no way to buy more Meteor Points. Everyone was given a set amount. There is no place on the website to buy them. Of course, since we are in beta right now, they're not ready to give people real-world options for that, I'm sure. So they're just doing it, putting it here now for testing purposes. If I were to click on my pilot name, you can see here you're going to get a nice list of stats for not only your entire career, and you can scroll here. It's not entirely obvious that this is a scroll bar. Again, everything you're going to see here is beta footage. So keep in mind what you see and the layout here could change from not only beta to beta, but from, of course, here to release. I can look at my personal career at this time, and I can look at the career of each mech. Total kills, deaths, damage received, and all that. So there's the standard options that a lot of people will want for their first-person shooters. Now, I'm not sure what the mech mastery level is. This could be a way of matching once they get a matchmaking system up and going, or it could just be a personal number, like maybe even achievement points or something like that. Maybe a way to quantify skill. Alright, now, the first thing you're going to get into here is your garage. This has changed quite a bit. I was in the last alpha event, and this has gone through a massive UI overhaul since then. So let's take a look at what you have and how Hawken works. On the left we have a whole bunch of mechs, because I've purchased them. When you start off, at least in this version, I started off with only the assault mech you see here. He's basically given to you gratis. Up here you can see I have a test drive mech. You could go into your mech shop. This is where you'll buy your mechs. And here's where you can see the differences between Hawken Points and Meteor Points. You can see that it's almost a 10-to-1 ratio. That it takes about 9,000 Hawken Points to buy a mech, only 1,000 Meteor Points. You go into the mech shop, and this gives you a quick, at-a-glance look at every mech you can buy right now. This infiltrator had this nice yellow stamp on it that said test drive. I was able to take this mech, grab it, and as you can see, my test drive is going to expire in a few hours. And I can play for it for free, and I can actually gain experience with it. Unknown at this time whether that experience will carry over when I buy it. I don't see why they wouldn't. But this is a way for them to cycle in mechs. You can try each mech as you play and decide on which one you might want to buy. They are exceptionally expensive. You do not gain a lot of Hawken Points as you play at this time, even with a booster. It took a full day of playing to get just a few items to augment the mechs I already have. Almost everything was done through Meteor Points, so there's going to be a little bit of a grind here. But again, these are not final values. We could see these change in the future. So what you're looking at here is the name of the mech, and this name can be changed. Your XP bar, which is this kind of brownish colored bar here. And above that is a green, kind of your progress bar. The closer that gets to the right, the closer you are to max level. So as you can tell here, 20 is the maximum level, and you actually start at level 0, not at level 1. Each of these slots here is your weapon. So you have, and you can see here, there's a secondary, a primary, an alternate, and there's a special ability for the mech. Every mech secondary is standard. You cannot change your secondary. That secondary pretty much defines the mech and what special abilities you get. So as you can see here for my assault, I have a tow rocket, I have a primary weapon of an assault rifle, and I have an alternate primary of a submachine cannon. Now, alternate primaries are basically a way to swap out weapons when you're in the game. You basically have two weapons to choose from. You can either use the assault rifle or the submachine cannon. You can't switch between them in battle. So it is something like, say, a Mech Warrior title, where once you set your loadout, you're stuck with it once you're in the game. But here's the thing. Between deaths, you will respawn in this game, and you can swap out your primary weapon between the spawns. You just go into your mech bay, say swap it out. You can't buy new equipment, you can't change out equipment, but you can change the primary. So they give you a way of doing that. And of course you have class abilities. So in this case, this mech, I can remove all heat buildup, which allows me to fire for longer duration. Each mech has its own weapons and special abilities. If I go into the mech shop, we can see these top two are considered the light classes. They are typically the fastest and the least armored. They also cannot carry that much energy. We have one that increases its damage with the weapon damage ability. We have the infiltrator, which has camouflage, which is cloaking. The assault, which we just went over, reduces weapon heat. Sharpshooter also has weapon damage modifications. And down here we have the two heavy mechs, the Brawler and the Rocketeer. These have a special ability that converts them to a defensive turret mode, which makes them quite slow, but it increases their defense. The Rocketeer has a little more mobility than the Brawler, but the Brawler will gain armor back while he's in his defensive mode. So to go over the secondaries really quick, because I won't be able to go over all the mechs in-game, I'll just show you what each one has. We have a tow rocket. This weapon exists on the Berserker, the Assault, and the Brawler. And while we're at it, I'm going to include the Infiltrator, which has a grenade launcher. Now the tow rocket fires in a straight line, but it fires in kind of a swirl pattern. You can blow it up in midair with your weapon's special ability in order to detonate it. In case it's about to pass an opponent, you can still hit them. The grenade launcher will do the same. So as of right now, there's not a lot of variety in the secondary weapons. Again, this is a beta product. There will more than likely be more mechs as they go along, and I'm pretty sure there'll be more at release. So we have these four that are pretty much the same. We'll go on to the next. This is the Sharpshooter. He's the sniper class, as it were. He has the Sabo rifle. This is a sniper rifle, essentially, as is the S.A. Hawkins and the Slug rifle. Because it's a sniper rifle, his weapon special ability is to give him a zoom, so he'll have an easier time of hitting ranged targets. The Rocketeer has the Hellfire missiles, so he's the only mech with a lock-on system. You hit your weapon special, and it'll lock on. You'll see a bit more of this as we go on, as I plan to show you a few matches to get you an idea of how Hawken's going to play. If I click on the little wrench, you'll see that I can move on to my mech bay. This is where I can actually rename my mech, and you can actually purchase equipment. You carry 3 items with you at all times. At the start of the game, you're only going to have one. You're going to have to purchase the others. So if I go here, I can go into my offensive items. You can see there's several things you can buy. And once you buy them once, you keep them. They don't have a limited number of uses either. So HE charges, they're like the grenades of this game. You kind of throw them. You might think of them as grenades from, say, Call of Duty, Battlefield, old Team Fortress Classic. Basically, it's just your standard grenade. You hit a button and you throw it, and you're good to go. It doesn't replace any other weapons. But I can also place a turret that has a machine gun, a turret that has a rocket, and then I've got a dumbfire missile here. This claims it's a guided rocket. I have yet to find out how to guide it, but we'll see. That might be something that's just not implemented yet. And once again, you can see it takes here 1,500 Hawken Points to the 175 Meteor Points, so quite a bit of a difference here. The unfortunate thing is I have no idea at this time how much of a real-world conversion there's going to be for Meteor Points, so I don't know if it's going to be, you know, $1 for every 100 Meteor Points, so is $10 going to give me 1,000 Meteor Points? I'm not sure. So that might be a bit much. It might be, hopefully more. Well, no, that's a good amount. That's a good amount. $10 giving you 1,000, because then you could buy a mech and some armaments for that mech. We'll see. That's obviously no numbers have been generated yet, and so obviously I can say that's not final because, well, there's nothing there to report on. Moving on, we have defensive weapons here of a repair charge that repairs you. This, in current implementation, is very difficult to use as it has a very small radius. I'm hoping to see that buffed. We have a shield that blocks all projectiles, including your own, so it's a catch-22 weapon. You can use it to defend yourself, to run away, and you can use it strategically. Just remember you can't shoot through it. And then, of course, a hologram, which is kind of a decoy system. Moving on to functional items, we have an EMP, which completely shuts down a mech's weapons systems and his radar. It does not shut the mech down itself. There is no shutting down in this game. There is heat generation, so those of you who play Mech Warrior, and even now Mech Warrior Online, you'll know that you build up heat, your mech shuts down. In this, only your weapons will shut down, not your entire mech. You can put down a portable radar, and you can scramble the enemy's radar. This is quite effective because it'll show a lot of false positives on their radar. This is the leveling system for Hawken. I'm just going to scroll down here to the bottom, and you can see at level 0 you actually get a little bit of a bonus. You get 1 tech point, and then from there, as you level, you will get points every other level. So what happens here at level 1, your primary weapon will level up. At level 2, you get more tech points. Level 3, your alternate weapon levels up for more tech points. And this continues in this manner until, as you can see here, everything you have gets level 1. You still get more tech points, then everything you have gets level 2, so on and so forth until level 16 you hit your maximum tech points, and then everything gets level 3. These bars here by the weapon are the levels of those weapons. So as you can see, everything I have, including my abilities, all level 3. This mech is maximum, it's level 20. Once I hit maximum, I have overflow experience. Currently, there is no way to use this overflow experience. Whether or not they plan to give you away is unknown at this time. It could be like other games such as Mech Warrior Online or World of Tanks, where once you hit a maximum level, this overflow experience could be used for purchasing or maybe leveling up another mech to help you along. This way, once you hit max level, you still have a reason to use that vehicle. So what are these tech points I've been talking about? Well, if I go here into optimizations, you'll see we have a skill tree. Now, you've heard me talk about skill trees in the past. I don't entirely care for some skill trees because they tend to have a lot of fluff or things that are not going to be that useful to you. Now, here's the thing about using a skill tree on a first-person shooter. Skill accounts for a lot in a first-person shooter, whereas in action RPG, a lot of stuff is done in the background for you. So in an action RPG, I typically hate to see something like you get 1%, 2% extra damage, and then you have to pump 5 points into that to get, 5 to 10% extra damage. Well, in the long run, that does help customize your character. It's not exactly fun. It's fairly boring from level to level. Oh boy, I just got a 1% extra damage. Well, in this you can see the bonuses are very minor, actually. I'll go ahead and clear this out, and I'll put it back so you can see it. You have offense, defense, and movement. Defense is typically, obviously, you take less damage, has some radar increases. things like that. But overall, it's meant to decrease your damage. And as you can pretty much tell at the bottom of all of these, you've got one major ability that signifies the tree. Offense, of course, all damage increases, and it's fairly specific from special weapons to bullets to explosions. And then, of course, movement will allow you to move around the battlefield a bit more, and it even has the only way to increase your energy unit capacity. This, oddly enough, is only usable in one of the existing game modes. There's Deathmatch, Team Deathmatch, there's Siege, and Missile Assault. This particular item here only works in Siege mode, because that's the only mode that you're carrying energy around. So I kind of hope that they might look into that and maybe make it useful for other modes. But so far, they've made it so that you can put your points in and clear your tree without any cost. Doesn't cost Hawken Points, doesn't cost Meteor Points, nothing. I can just go ahead and do this at will, change it. I can't change it between rounds. I have to leave the server I'm in and come back to the mech bay. But I can always come back and change it based on what mood I'm feeling in. So if I want to play Siege mode, I can go ahead and grab some energy unit capacity. Now, as you see, it's only 25 per point, so it's not a lot. For example, look at here, increased walk speed, 0.5 meters a second. That's not really a lot. Each of these is 0.25 seconds, so at level 3 the acceleration is not even a second, it's 0.75. Increased thruster regen rate by 0.05 a second. So you can tell that there's not a lot here. I mean, even the armor. This is your armor is your straight up health. That's 15, 30, 45 health. Trust me when I say that 45 health is not a lot, although it can keep you alive if you're being careful. Alright, so I'm just going to put all these in. As you can see, there's no way to save it. I find that going back to my mech bay synchronizes the account. So I just click on this little mech icon over here and it moves over. So that's the optimizations. Speaking of passives, I didn't go over it here when I was over in the equip section. We do have internal structures, and these are really just minor bonuses to your mech. They're nothing super special. I got the armor piercing, so as you can tell, that's bullet damage increased by 5%. I could get explosive damage increased. I could reduce my weapon heating. You've got some for offensive, some for defensive, reduce damage taken. And then there's functional, such as here's another energy unit capacitor, and then of course fuel regen. As you can see, all these values are fairly small, although they are a little expensive. And that's understandable because, again, this is a first-person shooter. Skills will account for a lot. So even though these optimizations and those passives that I just showed you are very minor increases, the difference between two very skilled players could make those minor changes be the difference between victory and defeat. Personal skill and tactics are, of course, going to still be a big factor here. Although I am slightly concerned with the trend here of as you level up, you get optimizations that can increase your abilities, and as you level up, your weapons also level up. And at this time, there's no way to tell what these levels do, so I could only guess here from my weapon's ability. Does being at level 3 mean that it recharges faster? Does it last longer? Does it cool me a little better? The submachine gun cannon, does it fire faster? Does it do more damage? We really don't know. Now, they've said that these abilities are working in the current beta, so what concerns me a little is that as you level up and you get better, well, you actually do get better. And the reason why this concerns me is that this could be a little off-putting to newer players, especially people that might be a little more casual and not have time to level up fully. I got all these levels that I have using a double experience booster. As you can see, I fully maxed out one mech. I got not quite halfway with one and a few levels on another. That's using a double XP booster and playing the game for maybe about 9 hours so far. Maybe a little more. So that's a big chunk of time, especially for a typical casual player, and especially someone that may not want to spend real money on it. So you are purchasing a little bit of power with the real world currency, but I still would not call it pay to win because it's not anything that you couldn't gain by grinding. So I usually don't use the term pay to win for anything that you can get in-game without spending real-world money on it. Now, if I could only get power through real-world money, then you could call it pay to win. Now, games like World of Tanks do this. World of Tanks has very specific ammo that you can buy with real-world currency and no other type of currency to do more damage, to get more penetration. That's the kind of system I usually don't like to see. This is very reminiscent of Tribes, where you would gain, or even MechWarrior Online, where you can buy your weapons, you can spend time to buy them, or you can spend money to buy them quickly. You're basically spending money to save yourself time. Now here are some of the things. We're going to go on to the body shop and the paint shop. This is where your real-world currency is going to play into cosmetics. There are not a lot of chassis right now, simply because there's not a lot of mechs. But as you go in here, you can see I can change the upper chassis. I'm currently on the Rookie. I can change it to the Civ. These can only be purchased with Meteor Points, again, this being the real-world transaction system here. So all the cosmetics can only be purchased through real money. As you can see here, you can change the arms, the legs, the torsos. You can even change the color of your thrust here from default to red to a light blue, even a yellow, or just a regular blue. You can see there. So if you want to have a very specific color scheme, you can. You can even change your repair drone. It doesn't change how the repair drone works, just change how it looks. I happen to like this little guy. I don't know why. Little circular drone. He's cute. Don't have enough Meteor Points to buy him, and I can't get more Meteor Points. That's a shame. Alright, and then next is the paint shop. Your trim lines, you can see here I have some blue lines around my mech. I could change the color of these at will. I can also change if they actually show up on any part of my chassis or my arms. And then you have the pattern. These are another real-world currency item. You can purchase patterns to design your mech any way you want. Now keep in mind, there's really no way you are going to blend into the world with these patterns. It's fairly obvious when an enemy mech is nearby, so no, you will not be paying to win with a pattern to blend in and not be seen. They're just there for cosmetic value, which is all quite cool. So there you go, we have all that. We obviously don't have a main button anymore, we don't have a deals. This will probably be where they showcase what kind of specials they have, try to sell you items cheaply, and then of course there's rankings which are not implemented yet. We have up here in the upper right, we have a friends list, which, let me try and go back to the garage so you can see that a little easier. There we go. Friends list, this is not working very well right now. It shows friends offline even when they're online. We've had problems getting messages back and forth, or basically friend invites back and forth. Again, this is beta. This, I imagine, will be fixed. As of right now, it only has one functionality, to tell you who your friends are when they're online. Now, you'll see a little box here by each name. If it glows green, that means your friend is in a game. And then you can join their game by clicking their name. If you click them, you'll see a little menu appears here on the right. If they were online and in a game, you'd see Join Server there. Then, of course, you've got messages, which right now is only used to show you have a friend request. You have your options, and, of course, the little X to close. All right, we're looking at the options. What I've noticed here is I do have one friend that tried to use the game with a controller, and unfortunately it looks like controller support is not in yet. You can do key bindings with a controller, but there is no way to map turning. So basically mapping your axis, your analog axis, you can't do that right now. Hopefully they will add this support in the future. So you've got your standard key bindings, you've got your game control. What's nice is they actually do have a field of view slider. I don't know why it goes down to 70 again. I'm going to bring that back up. I don't think this is working yet, to be honest with you. I've tried changing it around and I haven't noticed a difference between the field of view numbers. But this is very promising that they have this. I've been reading a lot lately about people that get motion sick in games and how the eye works and relating to peripheral vision, and not having a field of view, especially if you're going to keep it low to like a 70 like it was set at, there are people that just can't handle that. That's going to make them feel nauseous. Now 70 might work on a big TV screen because you're usually sitting away from it a bit further and you can get a better feel for the peripheral vision there. But on a monitor sitting up close like I am, you usually want that number to be higher in order to simulate peripheral vision a little bit better and to keep people from getting sick. A lot of different options here. I mean, I can even change the cockpit color of all my readout displays. This is unexpected. I'll change it to aqua just because I can. And then, of course, there's the video settings. There's a few options here. You've got a few advanced things here. I don't know why this keeps putting on cap smooth. I've noticed there's a little bit of it doesn't feel entirely smooth all the time. I suppose what I'm trying to say is that while it might look smooth, there's a slight delay in what I do and what I see. So the game makes it look smooth, but it doesn't feel smooth, if you know what I'm trying to say regarding this. It's one of those things where, because the game is keeping it so that it looks good without tearing and all that, there is a slowdown effect. I've been keeping the settings a little lower. You can see I've got the texture and the graphics on a kind of a medium scale a little bit because recording does degrade a little bit. I don't have a second recording set up. I record everything on my machine. My machine, while a decent machine, is starting to get pushed by some of the newer stuff that's coming out like this. But then again, the game is probably not optimized yet. Remember, this is only the first beta, so there's a lot of changes that they can make into this game. Alright, a few audio settings here and there. They do have a in-game voice chat already. This surprised me to have this in the game so early. Even MechWarrior Online uses a third-party service, and not a lot of commercial games have working voice chat. You may have seen my recent Transformers Fall of Cybertron review where I lamented the fact that it had no voice chat whatsoever. It didn't even have a text chat. So seeing a voice chat in a beta product, especially free-to-play, and that it's working, and it seems to be working well, warms my heart, really. I like seeing that. It makes it far easier to be able to communicate with your teammates. So now that I've shown you all of that, and I know that's been a lot to go over, this is the kind of the features we're looking for, or looking at here on this beta. I'm going to go ahead and deploy and kind of show you a little bit of the gameplay. As of right now, there is no training module. There was a training module in the alpha, but it had no voice. It was fairly simplistic, but it was not bad at getting you used to the controls before you hopped in. So we're looking forward to seeing that come back. You can use auto matchmaking or the server browser. So I'll go ahead and use the matchmaker. You have what we have: siege mode, deathmatch, team deathmatch, missile assault. Missile assault is kind of your conquest mode, where you have multiple points of interest. You stand in the point to capture it. This is a mode that you would see in Battlefield. It is a mode you might see, I believe Call of Duty had a similar mode. The recently released Medal of Honor Warfighter has it. It's basically just a capture and defend. War for Cybertron has this mode. You basically stand in the point, you keep it. I'm going to show you guys siege mode, though, because siege mode is the most interesting version that they have right now. And unfortunately, it looks like we might run into a slight problem. I've got it on all regions. The servers could be full. So what I can do is come back once we've got a mode going. This is kind of the overview here. So what I might do is just go ahead and cut it off here. You've basically seen the overview of Hawken. You've got an idea of what systems are in place. The next one, we'll go over the game.